Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Peter Robinson.
Okay. I see President Klaus. I'm waiting for him to speak because I have a feeling the debate over cooperation versus partnership versus this, that, we're still waiting for that to be refined. Roger Zakheim has served as General Counsel to the House Armed Services Committee. Think about that. The House Armed Services Committee has responsibility for a budget of about $700 billion. So Roger will be buying drinks afterwards. Roger has served as General Counsel to the House Armed Services Committee, as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, and as co-chairman of the Public Policy and Government Affairs practice at the storied law firm of Covington and Burling. Mr. Zakheim writes and speaks frequently on national defense. He is also director of the Washington branch of the institution founded to continue the work of one of our two subjects today, Ronald Reagan. Ladies and gentlemen, the Washington director of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute, Roger Zakheim.
They're going to start drinks after I leave. I just want you to know that. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Roger Zakheim, and I have the privilege, as you just heard, of serving as the director of the Ronald Reagan Institute in Washington, D.C., which is only slightly less daunting than following the remarks and conversation you just heard with Attorney General Ed Meese. This morning has been, and today has been, an incredible tribute to two men who changed the face of the world, and I know you share my view that this has been just truly inspiring. I do want to just start out with a couple of thank yous. I'm grateful for the partnership with the White House Writers Group and the other esteemed event partners, the Victims of Communism, the Heritage Foundation, the Hudson Institute, the Institute of World Politics, and the Polish National Foundation. And really, my gratitude goes beyond participating in today's event. I'm also grateful for the fine work these organizations engage in, sharing the critical lessons of history and truly carrying the flame. And I am inspired by the conversations and reflections I've heard about a president and a pope who did not look at history as preordained. The Polish pope and the U.S. president, as we've heard, did not accept détente or a world order where individual freedom was suppressed or denied. Instead, they looked forward and worked to shape a better world. In turn, they inspire the work of the new Ronald Reagan Institute in Washington, D.C. And I'll beg your indulgence for just a minute. I'd like to share a little bit more about our mission. The Reagan Institute is the Washington, D.C. office of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation. And while no one does a better job of preserving the legacy of the president, as the Reagan Library does, our Board of Trustees decided that our 40th president needed more. The Reagan Institute's mission, as decided by our trustees, is to actively promote the timeless principles that President Reagan championed: individual liberty, economic opportunity, global democracy, and of course, national pride. And so we are the only presidential foundation to establish a presence in the nation's capital. And per the request of Mrs. Reagan before she passed, we are charged with bringing President Reagan's optimism, civility, and leadership example back to the epicenter of American politics. It is no small task, and we are humbled and inspired by the charge. But today's conference is exactly the work that we envisioned. Scholarly inspection of the past with eyes facing towards the horizon. We aim to convene conversations focused on the future to impact a new generation of policymakers, and that I hope you will walk away from this discussion with the belief that these leadership examples will remain relevant today. The Reagan Institute is proud to sponsor today's panel that embodies the heart of that mission. Our panelists will look at the partnership between the Pope and the President from the perspective of the Reagan White House. This includes the President's close relationship with Pope John Paul II and how they contributed to his strategy to use public diplomacy to speak directly to people living behind the Iron Curtain and dismantle what President Reagan called the evil empire. And this is a quote that we've heard a lot, but one I think we all could do well to internalize. President Reagan once said that the ultimate determinant of the Cold War would not be bombs and rockets, but a test of wills and ideas, a trial of spiritual resolve and the values we hold. Both Pope John Paul II and President Reagan understood that a conflict seen by so many as a cold geopolitical contest must be rooted in morality and a belief what is right. Their shared faith armed them moral courage and strength to touch the hearts of millions. However, to liberate Europe and to fulfill the vision of a free world, it also involved the work of grand strategy. And so leading today's conversation, called We May Never Get Another Chance Like This, is the man you've heard a lot from and you will continue to hear from, a dear friend and speechwriter extraordinaire and wordsmith, Peter Robinson. So he had a chance to introduce me, and I will now do the same for him. We'll also have a perspective of the historical lens of the Reagan White House from our Reagan biographer, UC Berkeley's finest, Dr. Stephen Hayward. And then John Lenchowski and Paulo Dobriansky will provide more color to the grand strategy in Soviet affairs from the perspective of inside the White House. So together, I know their conversation will more than do justice to the Reagan Institute's mission and the legacy of the 40th presidents. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the next panel. Thank you.